Archangel Michael says, "The miracle that once felt lost and forgotten in the silence of your waiting has not been denied by heaven, it was only delayed for a divine reason that your heart may not yet fully understand, and now I speak with urgency because if you turn away from this final call, you may build a wall around your own blessing and close the very door that God Himself has been keeping open for you. So please receive this message with tenderness and allow it to reach the deepest part of your soul where faith still breathes quietly." Type 555 to receive blessings and miracles. Type 666 if you trust in God's grace and mercy. There are moments when waiting feels like abandonment, when unanswered prayers weigh like heavy stones upon your spirit, but I assure you with every breath of truth that God never left your side. He has been carrying your hope in His hands and protecting the seed of your miracle from being stolen by the enemy or destroyed by the rush of time. Because what He gives is always perfect, always whole, and never late, even when your heart has grown weary from longing. Your pain, your tears, your lonely nights where silence seemed louder than the promises you once believed, they were not wasted, they were gathered by heaven and lifted to the throne of God, where each cry became a song of trust, even when you felt faith slipping away. And now, in this sacred moment, the doors that seemed shut are trembling, the chains that held your blessings bound are weakening, and the miracle you thought was gone is closer than your breath, waiting for you to welcome it again. Subscribe to this channel if God means everything to you. The delay was never punishment, it was preparation, for God wanted to strengthen the ground beneath your feet, to build a heart that could carry the weight of His gift, to shape your spirit so that when the miracle arrives, you will not only receive it but also protect it, cherish it, and grow through it, and what once seemed like a cruel silence will soon be understood as a loving design, where God was shaping you gently in the hidden place. I am telling you this now because time is moving quickly, and this is the final call for you to open your heart, for doubt has stood like a shadow at your door, and if you choose to surrender to despair, you will push away the very blessing that was always meant to be yours, not because God took it back, but because your heart turned from it, and I plead with you to not let fear and weariness block the miracle that still longs to embrace you. What if you discovered a tiny, walnut-sized brain region holds the secret to endless wealth and success? Recently uncovered by groundbreaking research and once buried in classified files, this frequency is now available to anyone ready to listen. Imagine replacing worry and struggle with a life of financial ease and freedom. Interested? Click the link in video description and comments below to unleash this hidden brainwave and start attracting wealth right now. Think of how a flower waits beneath the soil, unseen and unnoticed, through storms and long nights, yet the day always comes when the earth opens and light touches its fragile petals, and in that moment the waiting no longer matters, because beauty blooms at the perfect hour. And so it is with your miracle, it has been hidden, preserved, and now it is pressing against the soil of your life, waiting for you to believe again, so that it may rise. Type 444 if you believe in God's divine protection. I tell you with love that your waiting has been holy, your journey has been sacred, and your miracle is alive. But you must welcome it with open hands and a heart willing to trust, for this is not the moment to give up or turn away, this is the moment to stand in quiet faith and allow God's timing to prove His goodness once again, and if you listen with the softness of your soul, You will hear heaven whispering that what you thought was denied is simply arriving at its chosen time. So I urge you with the gentleness of truth, do not block what is already yours, do not let discouragement close your heart, but hold on with steady faith and receive what God has prepared for you, because the miracle is not gone, it is at your door, and heaven is inviting you to step into the light of answered prayers, where hope will be restored, joy will return, and your soul will finally taste the sweetness of God's faithfulness in a way that will make every waiting moment worth it. Archangel Michael says, I return with another whisper from the heart of heaven, because the journey you are walking is too precious to be carried without light, and the miracle that has been delayed is moving closer, wrapped in God's perfect design, waiting for you to trust that even in the shadows, His hand has never let go of yours, and this part of the message must enter gently into your spirit like soft rain falling on dry soil, renewing what seemed lost. There are seasons where the soul feels stretched, where the days pass like heavy clouds and the heart begins to wonder if hope itself has vanished, yet I remind you with certainty that God has been watching every moment of your waiting. He has seen the tears you brushed away in silence, He has noticed the prayers you whispered with trembling lips, and He has held your spirit steady even when you thought you had fallen, because His love is not fragile. It is eternal and it sustains what you cannot carry alone. The waiting you endured was not emptiness, though it felt like silence pressing upon your chest. It was a hidden classroom where your heart was learning to lean more on God's strength, to depend not on what your eyes could see but on what faith could trust, and each hour of delay became a thread in the tapestry of your miracle, making it stronger, deeper, and more radiant, so that when it finally arrives, it will not fade or be stolen, but will remain as a testimony of God's goodness and His power to bring life out of what seemed broken. Type 333 to welcome peace into your heart. Your journey was not about denial, it was about divine timing, and though human hearts long for answers quickly, heaven works with eternity in mind, shaping every detail so that when the door opens, you will step into something far greater than you ever imagined, and you will look back and realize that the delay was a covering, a shield, and a promise being kept safe for its perfect moment, and I tell you now that moment is stirring, rising, and preparing to unfold before you. But hear me with gentle seriousness, this is not the hour to surrender to despair, because despair can shut the very window through which your blessing is meant to enter, and fear can build walls that block the miracle from reaching your open hands, and I urge you, do not let discouragement close your heart now, because the miracle has not gone, it is waiting to be received, and your faith, even if fragile, is the key that will open the door wide. Remember how the sea waits upon the command of the moon, how the tide knows its hour to rise and fall, and how every wave, though delayed, always returns to the shore at its appointed time, and so it is with your miracle. It may seem like the waters have receded too far, but the tide of God's promise is rising again, and soon it will reach your life with force and fullness, carrying with it the very blessing you thought was gone forever. And in that moment you will know that delay was never denial. God has not forgotten you, He has not overlooked your prayers, He has not placed your name aside, for you are inscribed on His heart, and the gift that seemed hidden was being prepared in silence, just as seeds are buried before they bloom into beauty, and now the season is shifting, the air is stirring, and heaven is calling you to be ready, For what is about to be revealed will heal the broken parts of your journey and fill your soul with a peace that no earthly storm can steal. So, hold this truth with tenderness, guard it like a treasure, because your miracle is at the edge of unfolding, and though the enemy may whisper that it is too late, remember that God is never late, His timing is perfect, His ways are sure, and His love is unshakable, and if you keep your heart open, you will see the promise rise before your very eyes, and the waiting will turn into rejoicing, and the delay will become a testimony that inspires others to keep believing even when hope feels far away. What if I told you financial freedom is not about working harder, but activating a dormant brain signal designed to draw abundance directly to you? Neuroscience proves this sound wave unlocks prosperity faster than any method known before. From unexpected cash to life-changing success, it's already helping thousands. Click the link in the video description and comments below to turn on the ancient money wave and create the life you've always dreamed of today. Archangel Michael says, "The words I now share are wrapped in the gentleness of heaven's embrace, because your soul has walked through long valleys of waiting, and though your heart may have grown weary at times, the miracle you believed was lost is still alive, resting safely in the arms of God's perfect timing, and this is why I must continue to remind you that what seems delayed is only being prepared to meet you in a way that will bring healing, joy, and renewal far beyond what you imagined when you first prayed." When you look back at the path you have walked, you may see countless days where answers did not arrive, nights where the silence felt endless, and moments where despair tried to convince you that your prayers had dissolved into the air. Yet I tell you with the authority of truth that God was not absent in those hours. He was closer than ever, collecting your tears as though they were precious jewels and placing them within the story of your promise. Because every tear shed in faith becomes part of the foundation that strengthens the miracle when it finally comes into the light. Type 222 if you trust that God is with you always. There are reasons you could not see, hidden purposes written deep in the plan of God, and though the waiting seemed cruel, it was not meant to break you, but to stretch your spirit and prepare you for blessings that carry both weight and glory. For miracles are not fragile sparks that fade quickly, they are eternal gifts that must be protected by a heart strong enough to carry them, and this is why the delay was not rejection but shaping, for your faith had to grow roots deep enough to withstand winds and storms that would come against the promise. I know how heavy waiting feels, how loneliness can whisper that you are forgotten, how disappointment can make the heart ache in silence, yet if you could see the fullness of God's plan, you would understand that His silence was not neglect but design, because in the quiet He was arranging every detail, removing what could harm you, aligning what needed to shift, and covering your blessing so that when it arrives, it will remain. It will not slip through your fingers, and it will shine brighter than you ever expected. The danger now is not that the miracle has vanished, but that your heart might close itself through doubt and despair, because miracles cannot be forced, they must be welcomed, and faith, even as fragile as the smallest breath, must remain open, for the final call is here, and heaven is asking you to guard your spirit against fear, to keep your heart soft against the weight of discouragement, because if you turn away now, it will not be God who withholds the blessing, but your own soul that blocks the door. Think of the sun hidden behind clouds, how the earth may look dim, yet the sun has never moved, and when the clouds break, light pours down with even greater warmth, and so it is with your miracle. It has been shining all along, hidden by the veil of waiting, but as the clouds of delay begin to shift, the light of God's promise is about to pour over your life, and when it does, you will see how every moment of waiting was worth it. For the light will not only heal you but also remind you that God never left you in the shadows. Do not let impatience steal what is already so close. Do not let fear convince you that it is too late, because the time of fulfillment is stirring, the doors of heaven are moving, and you are being called to remain open, ready, and willing, for what is about to enter your life will restore broken dreams, lift weary burdens, and plant new hope in places you thought were barren. And the testimony you carry will not only bless your life but will speak comfort into the lives of others who are still waiting. So, hold tightly to faith, let your spirit breathe in hope, and walk with gentle trust, because the miracle is not gone, it is on its way, and this final call is your invitation to keep your heart alive, to not let discouragement block the blessing, but to stand in quiet expectation, knowing that the God who never fails is bringing forth what was promised, and when it arrives, your soul will be filled with gratitude so deep that every tear of waiting will transform into a river of praise. Type 1818 to claim miracles and breakthroughs. Archangel Michael says, I return again with words that must reach your spirit like a soft light in the early morning, for this message carries the weight of heaven's compassion and the certainty of God's promises, and it is given so that you may not lose heart in this sacred hour, because the miracle you once thought was gone has been carefully preserved by the hands of God, and though it seemed delayed beyond measure, it was never denied. For heaven does not break its word, and now the moment of unveiling draws near, waiting for your heart to remain open and tender enough to receive it. Your soul may still remember the countless moments when waiting felt like emptiness, when prayers seemed to echo without reply, when hope was stretched so thin that it trembled on the edge of breaking, and yet those very moments were not signs of abandonment but seasons of preparation, for in the silence your faith was being stretched, your heart was being made stronger, and your spirit was being shaped into one that could hold blessings without fear of losing them, because what God is about to bring into your life is too precious to be carried by fragile faith alone, and so every delay has been a shaping tool in His divine hands. I must tell you now with gentleness but also urgency, the danger has never been that your miracle would not come, the danger is that your heart might choose despair over faith, closing itself to what is already moving in your direction. For God has already spoken the word, He has already set the path, but the gate of your soul must remain open in order for the promise to enter, and if fear builds walls or if doubt shuts the door, then the blessing may stand at the threshold, unable to flow into your life, not because God withheld it, but because your spirit could not welcome it. Think of how rivers flow, carrying life to every field they touch, but if a dam is built across their path, the water cannot reach the dry soil waiting for it, and though the water is real and powerful, it becomes blocked, and so it is with your miracle. It is alive, it is flowing toward you, but your heart must remain free of walls, open to trust, willing to hope, because faith is the channel that allows the river of God's promise to reach you fully, and I urge you not to let despair build barriers at the very hour when the waters of blessing are closest. There were reasons you could not see, mysteries that your human heart could not yet grasp, and though your spirit may have cried in confusion, God's timing has never been cruel, it has always been wrapped in love, because He has been arranging not only the blessing itself but also the world around you, aligning people, moments, and places so that when the miracle comes, it will fit perfectly, carrying harmony, peace, and strength, and you will see with clarity that nothing was lost in the waiting, it was only being prepared for fullness. Your story is not one of forgotten prayers, it is a story of faith tested and refined, of love deepened through waiting, of hope stretched beyond its limits only to grow stronger, and when your miracle unfolds, you will see how every tear was not wasted but became the water that nourished the roots of your blessing, and the testimony you carry will not be silent, for others will hear of the God who sustained you, who did not deny you, and who turned your waiting into a song of triumph. Type 1717 to affirm your life is in God's hands. So now I speak gently yet firmly, keep your spirit awake, hold on to hope, breathe in the assurance that what was delayed is closer than ever, and do not allow discouragement to blind you to what is about to be revealed, because this is the season where faith must stand like a light, guiding you through the final steps, for what is coming will not only meet your need but will also heal the wounds of your journey, lifting you into a place where peace flows deeper than pain and joy shines brighter than sorrow. Stand ready, beloved soul, for the hour is drawing near when what you thought was gone will return with greater beauty than before, and your heart will overflow with gratitude, because the God who loves you has written your story with care, and He has ensured that the miracle you once gave up on will rise again, not as a faint shadow of your dream, but as a radiant testimony of His goodness, His faithfulness, and His unfailing love that never forgets, never abandons, and never fails. What if everything you've been chasing, wealth, freedom, success, could be drawn to you automatically, simply by unlocking a secret brain wave hidden inside you? Once classified by intelligence agencies, this discovery is now available to the public, and it's changing lives instantly. Picture yourself debt-free, stress-free, and thriving. Click the link in video description and comments below to awaken this money magnet frequency and watch abundance flow into your life today. Archangel Michael says, I now come again to place another layer of comfort upon your spirit, because this journey you are walking is holy, and every word I speak is meant to assure you that the miracle you thought had slipped away has not been lost, it has only been resting in the hands of God until the moment was right. And this message is sent with urgency and love so that you will not let go at the very time when the promise is closest, for this is not the hour to give in to despair but to hold your heart open to the flow of heaven. There are moments when the weight of delay feels unbearable, when unanswered prayers linger like echoes in an empty valley, and when the heart begins to wonder if it has been abandoned, but I assure you that not one prayer has been ignored, not one tear has been wasted, not one cry has been left unheard, because your Father has been close through every trial, gathering your pain and turning it into strength, shaping your faith into a vessel that could carry the miracle without fear, because blessings are not fragile gifts, they are sacred treasures that require depth of spirit to hold them, and that depth has been forming within you through every season of waiting. I must remind you again with gentleness but with seriousness as well, the miracle was never denied, It was delayed because God wanted to align every detail perfectly, both in your life and in the world around you, and this delay was a shield as much as it was a lesson, for it protected the blessing from being released before you were ready, and it protected you from receiving something that could not have endured. And though your heart may not have understood, heaven's wisdom has been guiding the timing so that when it finally arrives, the promise will remain and flourish. Type Amen if you surrender fully to God's will. Consider how a tree takes years of unseen growth beneath the soil before it can stretch its branches toward the sky, and in those hidden years it is not dead but deeply alive, building roots strong enough to withstand storms, and so it has been with your miracle, buried in silence yet growing stronger, waiting for the exact season when it will break forth in fullness, and just as a tree cannot be rushed into bloom, so too the gift of God comes only when the foundation is ready, and now that time is moving near, you must be careful not to block the very moment you have been longing for. The danger lies not in God's delay but in your spirit closing under the weight of doubt, because miracles are born in the soil of faith, and even the smallest seed of belief can open the gates of heaven, yet despair can shut those gates, and fear can build walls that blessings cannot cross, and this is why I speak with urgency, for this is the final call, a sacred reminder that you must not give up now. For your heart's posture will either welcome the miracle or resist it, and I long for you to remain open so that nothing will stand between you and the promise that is already on its way. Think of the dawn, how the night can feel endless, how the darkness seems to stretch without end, but the sun always rises at its appointed hour, and no matter how heavy the night feels, light always breaks, and in that moment the shadows scatter and the world is renewed, and so it is with your promise. The night of delay has been long, but the dawn is near, and if you lift your eyes, you will see the first light already stretching across the horizon of your life, carrying with it the assurance that God has not forgotten you. The waiting has been long because your story carries weight, your journey holds meaning far beyond what you can see, and the miracle that is coming is not just for your comfort but for your testimony, so that others will see the goodness of God through your life, and be strengthened in their own waiting, for when they hear how you endured the silence yet still received your blessing, their faith will be stirred, and their hope will be renewed. And in this way your story will carry light not only to you but also to many who watch and wonder if God truly answers. So remain steady now, guard your faith as a precious treasure, let your heart remain open, and trust that what was delayed is already moving in your direction, because God is faithful, and He never forgets, never forsakes, and never abandons His children, and when the miracle arrives, you will see that it is greater than you ever dreamed, and you will fall into gratitude so deep that every tear, every night of waiting, every moment of silence will be transformed into a song of praise that rises higher than the pain ever did. Archangel Michael says, I come again with words that are meant to cover your heart like a warm mantle, because the weight you have carried in waiting has been heavy, and heaven desires to remind you that the promise is still alive, the miracle is still moving toward you, and the delay has been nothing more than the gentle hand of God preparing both you and the blessing so that when the moment arrives, it will remain forever, unshaken by time, untouched by loss, and radiant with divine glory. Type 1515 to receive peace in your soul today. You must understand that waiting has not been wasted, for in the hidden places of your life, God has been weaving threads that you could not see, arranging people, circumstances, and opportunities in such a way that when the miracle unfolds, it will come not as a fragile gift but as a complete answer, whole and perfect, carrying peace instead of confusion, joy instead of sorrow, and healing instead of emptiness. And this is why the delay was not denial, it was mercy working in silence, giving you more than you thought you asked for. There are times when the silence of God feels unbearable, when the distance seems endless, and when the ache of the heart becomes almost too much to endure, yet those very moments became the soil where your faith grew roots that now reach deeper than you ever imagined, because it is only in darkness that roots can stretch, it is only in waiting that faith becomes strong, and though you felt fragile, heaven saw you becoming unshakable, shaped not by despair but by perseverance, and now that perseverance is what will allow you to carry the miracle with steadiness. But I must speak to you with tenderness and with seriousness, for though the miracle has been preserved, the danger remains that if you allow despair to take full hold, you may block it yourself, for miracles require open hands and open hearts, and even the faintest faith is enough for God to move. Yet a heart sealed shut by bitterness or hopelessness cannot receive what is already at the door, and this is why I come again with urgency, to tell you not to let go, not to close off, for the blessing has not left you, it is pressing forward, waiting for your spirit to welcome it. Think of how a musician tunes an instrument before playing, how every string must be stretched to the right tension so that the song will flow with beauty, and if the strings were never tightened, the music would come out broken, and so it has been with your waiting. Every moment of stretching was tuning your soul for the song of blessing, and now the music of your miracle is ready to be played, and you will see that the very tension you hated was the reason the melody will now be so beautiful. The hour is drawing close when what you thought was gone will stand before you again, brighter, stronger, and more complete than your imagination could have pictured, and you will look back and see that even in the nights when you cried out for answers, heaven was working silently, holding the promise in place, shielding it from harm, and strengthening your spirit so that when the door finally opens, you will not only walk through it but stand tall within it, grateful for what God has done and unafraid of what lies ahead. I want you to know that the miracle is not meant to bless you alone, it will become a light for others who are waiting, because your story will shine with the testimony of God's faithfulness, and when you share how long you waited, how deeply you ached, and how suddenly the miracle came, others will see that they too are not forgotten, and their hope will rise again, and in this way your blessing will ripple outward like waves on water, touching lives you never expected and turning your private waiting into public encouragement. Type 1414 if you believe in divine protection. So I say to you with gentle strength, do not block what is already near, do not close your hands when heaven is offering you the very thing you once gave up on, but lift your spirit in quiet trust, breathe deeply of hope, and walk forward with a heart that is open, because the promise is alive, the delay is ending, and soon the light of fulfillment will fall upon your life, filling every shadow with joy, and every silence with song, until your soul is overflowing with gratitude that no words can contain. Archangel Michael says, I come once more with words that are meant to flow into your heart like a river of comfort, because the path you are walking has been long and filled with trials, and your spirit has grown weary from waiting, yet I tell you again with certainty that the miracle you once believed was gone is still alive, hidden but not lost, delayed but not denied. And this message must reach you in this final hour so that you will not let despair close the very door that God has kept open for you all this time. What if the fastest path to wealth was already inside your mind, waiting to be activated by a powerful sound wave? Scientists call it the money-attracting frequency, and once awakened, it begins drawing opportunities, success, and financial freedom like never before. Imagine the relief of no more bills and the joy of living your dreams. Click the link in the video description and comments below to turn on this ancient brain wave today. There is a gentle truth you must hold close, that waiting is not the absence of God's love but the shaping of it, for even as you cried out through nights of silence and days of heaviness, your Father was working in places unseen, arranging what your eyes could not yet witness, protecting the blessing from harm, shielding you from what could not last, and building within you the strength to carry the promise without fear. Because a miracle is not simply an answer to prayer, it is a sacred gift. Meant to remain, and for it to remain, the vessel that holds it must be strong. You may think of yourself as weak because you grew tired, because you doubted, because you nearly gave up, but I tell you that even in your weakest moments, God's strength was surrounding you, carrying you when you could not walk, sustaining you when your hope had fallen silent, and He has never judged your weakness, He has only covered it with His mercy, because His plan for you is not fragile, it is eternal, and He has never once forgotten the miracle He promised, even when you felt forgotten by the world. I speak with both tenderness and urgency, for this is the final call, and if your heart chooses despair now, you may close yourself to the very blessing that is drawing near, not because God has withdrawn it, but because miracles require the openness of faith, and though faith does not need to be perfect, it must at least remain alive, even in the smallest flicker, because that flicker is the opening through which heaven pours the light of fulfillment, and I urge you not to extinguish it with hopelessness. Think of the winter fields, barren and cold, where nothing seems alive, yet beneath the frozen ground seeds are resting, waiting for the warmth of spring, and though the field looks empty, life is quietly gathering strength, preparing for the moment it will break forth into bloom, and so it has been with your miracle, hidden beneath layers of silence, appearing lifeless, but in truth it has been strengthening, waiting for the exact season to rise, and that season is now drawing close. Type 666 if you trust in God's grace and mercy. The truth you must remember is that delay was never denial, it was divine protection, because God's gifts are too precious to be given too soon, and His timing is too perfect to release them too late, and though you may not yet see it, the alignment has been unfolding, piece by piece, and soon the fullness will break through, and you will realize that nothing was wasted, not the tears, not the prayers, not the nights of doubt, because every moment became part of the preparation for a blessing that is far greater than what you first asked for. Your miracle will not come as a faint answer but as a powerful testimony, and when it arrives, it will not only restore your hope but also heal your wounds, lifting the weight of sorrow and replacing it with joy so deep that it will flow out of you like light to others, and through your story they will see that God does not abandon, He does not forget, He does not deny, and He always brings life to what seemed dead when the time is right. So I call you gently but firmly, hold on to the hope that still breathes within you, protect it as you would a flame against the wind, and trust that the delay is ending, the doors are opening, and the promise is coming, because heaven has declared it, God has prepared it, and all that is required now is your willingness to receive, for the miracle is not lost, it is near, and soon it will rise before you as the fulfillment of everything you thought had slipped away. Archangel Michael says, I come once again with a message that carries the fragrance of heaven's mercy, because your heart has endured long seasons of silence, and though the road has felt heavy, I assure you with every breath of truth that the promise is still alive. The miracle you once thought abandoned has only been resting in God's careful hands, and now in this sacred moment He calls you to remain open, for the time of unveiling is near, and it would break the Father's heart if you allowed despair to close the door to what has always been meant for you. There are sacred mysteries hidden in the delay that your soul has not yet understood, because while you were waiting, God was aligning more than you could imagine, adjusting paths you could not see, and preparing you not only to receive but also to hold the blessing without fear, for what is coming is not a fragile answer that fades quickly, it is a lasting miracle designed to remain, and though the silence tested your faith, it also deepened your roots, making your spirit stronger and your heart more prepared to carry the weight of what heaven is about to place in your life. You must know that the tears you shed were not lost in the darkness, they were gathered by the hands of the Father and turned into streams of strength that watered the soil of your promise, and every moment you felt unseen was in fact a moment where God's presence wrapped around you more tightly than ever, holding you through the shadows and guarding the seed of your miracle so that it could not be destroyed by impatience, despair, or the schemes of the enemy, because what is truly yours cannot be stolen when heaven has marked it with divine timing. But I must speak with loving urgency, for the danger now is not that God will forget His promise, the danger is that your heart may surrender to hopelessness and in doing so close itself to what is already moving toward you, and I tell you again, even the smallest spark of faith is enough to receive, but a heart sealed by despair cannot embrace what is standing at the threshold, and this is why I plead with you. Do not let discouragement silence your faith, do not let fear block your miracle. Because the promise is not gone, it is nearer than you realize, and it longs to be welcomed. Think of the pearl hidden inside the shell of the oyster, how it takes years of quiet formation in the dark waters before it is revealed, and during those years it remains unseen, untouched, yet all the while it is being shaped into something precious, and so it is with your miracle, hidden in silence, unseen by the eyes of men, but shaped by the hand of God into something far more beautiful than if it had come quickly, and when it is finally placed in your hands, you will see that the delay was not a punishment but a preparation for something rare and enduring. Type 555 to receive blessings and miracles. The truth is that the Father's love has never failed you, not once, even when you felt forgotten, and the very fact that you are still here, still breathing, still holding even a faint hope, is proof that His mercy has sustained you, for many times you could have fallen, many times you could have broken, and yet His hand has carried you, His grace has covered you, and His plan has not let go of you, because what He begins, He always finishes, and the miracle you thought was lost is still part of His perfect design for your life. When it arrives, it will come with a joy that outweighs the sorrow, with a peace that silences the storms, and with a strength that lifts your soul into a place where gratitude becomes your constant song, and others will see the light in your eyes, hear the testimony in your voice, and believe again that God is faithful, because your story will be the proof they need to hold on through their own nights of silence. And in this way your miracle will not only heal you but will also heal many who watch you rise. So I tell you again with all the tenderness of heaven, hold your heart open, keep faith alive, protect hope as though it were a flame against the winds, because the time of unveiling is near, and the promise you thought had vanished is still alive, still moving, and still waiting to meet you, and when it does, you will know that the delay was never denial. It was the gentle love of God preparing both you and the blessing for a union that will last, a miracle that will remain, and a testimony that will shine for eternity. What if you could unlock a secret brain wave that top scientists discovered inside the hippocampus, the very switch that signals wealth and abundance? Hidden from the public for decades, this breakthrough can rewire your mind to attract prosperity faster than you imagined. Picture the stress of bills replaced with financial freedom and new opportunities. Click the link in the video description and comments below to activate this ancient money wave and step into abundance today. Archangel Michael says, I come again with words that flow like a healing stream into the quiet places of your soul, because this moment carries the weight of eternity, and it is important for you to know that the miracle you once thought had slipped forever out of reach is still alive, still waiting, still wrapped in the mercy of God, and though the delay has stretched your spirit and tested your strength, it was never a sign of denial but a sacred season of shaping, and now the final hour is approaching when what has been hidden will come forth, yet you must be careful not to let despair block the gift that is meant to be yours. You have walked through valleys where hope seemed dim, where the silence of unanswered prayers echoed louder than the beating of your heart, and in those times you felt as though heaven had closed its doors, yet even in those shadows, the presence of God was near, holding you through the weight of waiting, protecting the promise so that it would not come too soon, and though you did not see him at work, his hand was arranging every detail with love so precise that nothing has been wasted, not even the moments you thought were lost. The truth I speak to you now is this: the waiting has carved into you a depth that could never have been formed by quick answers, because the journey through silence has built endurance in your heart, and the tears you shed in secret became the water that nourished your faith, even when you felt empty, and in the end, you will see that the long nights of longing were not without meaning, because they were laying a foundation strong enough to carry the weight of the blessing that is soon to arrive. Type 444 if you believe in God's divine protection. But I must remind you with gentle seriousness, the promise may still be lost to you if your heart chooses to surrender to hopelessness now, because despair can close the gates of the soul, blocking the flow of heaven's answer, and though God has prepared the miracle, your spirit must remain open to receive it, and this is why I urge you to keep even the smallest flame of faith alive, because one spark is enough for heaven to pour in the light of fulfillment, and the only way to miss what is coming is to close yourself in bitterness and fear. Think of the diamond, hidden beneath layers of earth, pressed through years of darkness and weight, and yet all the while it is being shaped into something unbreakable and radiant, and when it is finally uncovered, its brilliance cannot be denied, and so it is with your promise. It has been hidden, it has been pressed by time, but it has not been destroyed, it has been strengthened. And soon it will shine in your life with a beauty that will not fade, because it has been prepared by the hands of eternity. The Father's love has not left you for even a moment, and though you could not see His plan, He has been guiding you with tenderness, protecting you in silence, and shaping you with care, because the gift He is bringing into your life is too precious to be rushed, and too perfect to be given before its appointed hour. And now that the time of unveiling draws near, I tell you to stand ready, to remain open, to trust again, because your miracle is no longer a distant dream, it is pressing against the edge of your life, waiting to break forth. And when it comes, it will not simply restore what you lost, it will bring joy that overflows, peace that steadies your spirit, and hope that spreads like light to all who see your testimony, because your story will not end in waiting, it will end in fulfillment, and through your life others will see that God never abandons, never denies, and never fails, even when the silence seems endless. And they too will hold on because of the faith they see alive in you. So I tell you one more time with all the urgency of heaven, do not let despair close the door now, do not allow fear to steal what is already near, but keep your spirit open and your heart soft, because the miracle is coming, the waiting is ending, and what you once thought was gone will soon be standing before you, radiant with the faithfulness of God, unshakable in its beauty, and eternal in its purpose. And when it arrives, you will know that the delay was never denial, it was preparation for something far greater than you dreamed. Archangel Michael says, I return with another wave of words sent from the heart of heaven, because this journey you are on is sacred, and though it has often felt lonely, you have never walked it alone, for every step has been guided, every breath has been sustained, and every prayer has been heard, even when silence was the only answer you felt. And I tell you again with certainty that the miracle you once thought had slipped away has not been denied, it has only been delayed so that the moment of fulfillment will carry greater beauty than your heart can yet imagine. Amen.